The 2021 MLS season is just around the corner, and we couldn't be any more excited. 27 teams will fight for that coveted MLS Cup, obviously. Columbus Crew won that silverware last year, but will they retain it? In today's highly requested video, we will be going over our Eastern Conference predictions. Like all lists, this will most likely be highly controversial. Comment down below what prediction rocked your dome the most. Now, with that being said, let's get into these predictions. At number 14, and in last place, we have the Montreal Impact. Wait, excuse me. I meant to say, we have Club de Fou Montreal. When I see this team, mediocrity jumps out at me. No real standouts, a bland attack for a bland named team, and a weak defense. Georgi Mihailovic, who was recently acquired from Chicago Fire, and Victor Wanyama are gonna have to have big goddamn seasons in order for Montreal to even come close to the red line. Also, Romel Kyoto is gonna have to show up. If any of these players get injured, you can kiss Montreal's season goodbye. The depth just isn't there. At 13, we have Chi-Town, the Chicago Fire, not Chinatown. Unlike Montreal, I feel like there's definitely a chance for the Fire to make the playoffs. They have some key pieces that can lead them there. Robert Beric is arguably a top 5 striker in the league, and the club is going to rely on him heavily if they want to score some goddamn goals. Also, the relatively new signings of Ignacio Alceda and Gaston Jimenez are going to have to play way better than they did last year if they want a fighting chance. If their season is even half as bad as their rebranded logo is, then it's over for this dumpster fire of a club. At 12, we have DC United. Their future isn't looking too bright, if I'm being honest. Last year, they were second to last in the Eastern Conference, and I think that this season will be more or less the same. The only interesting signing they made in the offseason was center forward Roberta from Levzinski Sofia in the Bulgarian league. And even then, that will not be enough to raise them into the playoffs. Ola Kamara, Yamil Assad, Edison Flores, and Julian Gressel are going to have to step up big time if they don't want to be globally humiliated. At 11, we have a somewhat of a shocker, FC Cincinnati. I know many people are expecting them to suck again this year, but I have a weird suspicion that that will not be the case heading into the season. They will suck a little less. I really like their new acquisitions, and when you pair that with their core, they look like a pretty formidable team. Luciana Acosta and Brenner provide the creativity and killer bite in front of a goal that this team was lacking since they came to Major League Soccer. Also, don't forget, they still have Jurgen Lacadia on loan, who was supposed to be one of the best strikers in Major League Soccer. Obviously, that did not happen, but he has the talent to get to that level. Let's go, Cincy. Now, following that hot take of sorts, I have the biggest hot take of all. Number 10. The Philadelphia Union. Okay. Don't tear me apart too much in the comments section for this, but I just don't see the Philadelphia Union of last year. 2. Of their most notable players that brought them to the Shield in 2020 aren't with the squad this season. B. Brendan Aronson and Mark McKenzie. You would think Philly would fill these positions ASAP, but they didn't. They didn't sign anyone to note, and it looks like they are relying on their academy a little too much. Yes, they still have some great players, including Kasper Shabelko and Alejandro Bedoya, but I just don't see them getting it done. Godspeed, Philly. Godspeed. Coming in at number 9, we have Nashville SC, who surprised many last season for how good they did, including myself. Do I think that Cinderella story will repeat itself this year? Probably not. Walker Zimmerman is gonna have to stand on his head once again if they want to go far, and that's a lot to ask from one player. Their defense was one of the best last year, but I don't think that'll translate to this year. Cadez, Leal, and especially the main man up top, Hani Mukhtar, are all gonna have to stay healthy for this team to see some goal production, if even one of them gets hurt. Then, they're in for a long season. Number 8, we have the New Jersey Red Bulls, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing, probably because it's New Jersey. The departure of Tim Parker is going to be a huge blow to their back line, and I don't see who's going to sufficiently fill that void in the center of the defense. Aaron Long is going to have the season of his life if the Red Bulls don't want to give up 3 goals a goddamn game. The new acquisitions of Andres Reyes and Tom Edwards, I feel won't be enough in the back. The young guns are gonna have to take this team into their hands and lead them to victory. I'm looking at you, Kid Clark. No pressure. And you, Frankie Amaya, prove me wrong. Finally, we have made it to the playoff teams. Woo! At 7, we have Inter Miami, who many have nowhere near the playoffs, but I would like to think differently. Inter were one of the most active teams this postseason, and made some big signings, at least in my little eyes. Brazilian CDM Gregor, former Seattle Sounders Kevin Lerdam and Jovine Jones, Stoke legend Ryan Shawcross, and Arsenal veteran Gibbs were all signed during the window and will add much-needed defensive leadership and stability. Gonzalo Higuain and Matuidi will both have a full season to work as well. On paper, this Inter Miami team looks lethal. At 6, we have the boys in blue, NYCFC. I'm being optimistic on this one. As many of you know, we at benchkings are all NYCFC fans. Hashtag New York is blue, baby. Now, is the prediction a little bit biased? Certainly. But with that being said, I think it is a real possibility that we can extend our playoff streak. We didn't have the best offseason per se, probably one of the worst in the league if I'm being honest, but our core, for the most part, stays the same. Our center-back partnership of Cayens and Chanot is one of the best in the league, and when you pair that with Tinner Boom and the recent signing of Amundsen, we look great in the back. The real question of concern is where will all these goals come from? And to that, I don't know. Hope Hebert makes a speedy recovery for the beginning of the season. At 5, we have Toronto. Even though they sold breakout star Pablo Piatti during this offseason, I still think they'll be able to perform. Last season they came second in the East, and I think their dominance will almost most likely remain. Their star, Alejandro Pozuelo, will have to be the magic man once again in the middle. Everything goes through it. Also, Toronto's backline is one of the best in the league. Aro, Omar Gonzalez, Mavinga, and Richie Laraya are gonna be a very hard defensive unit to break down, and I don't see many teams doing so. Will be interesting if Josie Altidore can stay fit for once. If not, no big deal. Just throw in Ayo Akinola, who had a beastly 2020 season. Number 4, we have Orlando City. What a glow-up this team is going through. Didn't make the playoffs for 5 straight seasons, and then boom, out of nowhere become one of the best teams in the league. The leadership presence of Nani, and now new addition, Alexander Pato, will fit in perfectly with their young players, namely Chris Mueller and Daryl Dike. It will be interesting to see if Barnsley does not buy out Dike though. And even if they do, this is still a great squad. Pedro Halase is probably one of the most underrated players in the goddamn league, and in my opinion, the best goalie right now, right here in Major League Soccer. I'm expecting some phenomenal saves from him this season. Coming from an NYCFC fan, I know all too well what he is capable of. At 3, we have the Revs, the New England Revolution, who also holds home to one of the best keepers in the league, Matt Turner. And not only do they have one of the best goalies, but they have the best pound-for-pound duo, Gustavo Bo and Charles Hill. These two players together are just on another level compared to everyone else on the pitch. Adam Buska was also a great addition they made last year, and the Revs will most likely play 2 up top as both Bo and Buska are too good to have out of your starting lineup. As for breakout stars, expect Buchanan's Olympic qualifying performance to translate to this season with the Revs. Big things for the young man. Bruce Arena will have a lot of quality players to work with this season, and who knows, he might transform this team into a dynasty, just like he did with the Galaxy a whole decade ago. At 2, we have Atlanta United. I know they didn't make the playoffs last year, but I'm calling fluke. Under their new coach, Gabriel Heinz, they look like a new and improved team. Maybe even better than their 2018 MLS Cup winning squad, at least on paper. Joseph Martinez is finally healthy again, and he'll have plenty of playmakers behind him to feed him the goddamn ball. Ezekiel Barco is due for a breakout season, and Marcelino Moreno will finally have a full season under his goddamn belt. The defensive partnership of Alan Franco and Miles Robinson is one of the best I have ever seen, if not the best in the league. And the man in front of them, Santiago Sosa, is gonna hold the midfield way better than Remedi ever could. There's just too many threats on this squad for me not to put them in the top 2 in the East, and I wouldn't be surprised if they came out on top first. And now, finally to number 1. Thank you for joining us. Really, we made it to number 1. We have the MLS Cup defending champions, the Columbus Crew. When I thought this team couldn't get any better, they did. The additions of Alexandro Matan and Kevin Molino are pivotal in the attack, as Columbus are gonna have an extremely condensed schedule with an MLS season approaching. US Open Cup and CCL. Kevin Molino was one of the best players in the league last year, and now he's going to be on the best team. Scary to think about. Joshi Zardes keeps proving me wrong, scoring game after game, night after night, minute after minute, and Pedro Santos has been nothing but class since coming to Columbus. The most important factor in this side is Lucas Zelarayan. No explanation needed. If he plays even half as well as he did last season, this team could very well go all the way. Well, we hope you enjoyed this video, brother. Comment down below which predictions you agreed on, disagreed with.
Thank you. We're gonna see you next time. Where are you guys gonna be when Bench King Mania comes knocking on your doorstep with another binge week like this, brother? Urgh.